Genesis chapter 29, verse 1 through verse 8. Jacob's arrival at Paddan Aram, BC 1760. Then Jacob went on his journey, and came into the land of the people of the east, and he looked, and behold a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, and a great stone was upon the well's mouth, and thither were all the flocks gathered. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the sheep, and put the stone again upon the well's mouth in his place. And Jacob said unto them, My brethren, whence be ye? And they said, Of Haran are we. And he said unto them, Know ye Laban the son of Nahor? And they said, We know him. And he said unto them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel his daughter cometh with the sheep, and he said, Lo, it is yet high day, neither is it time that the cattle should be gathered together. Water ye the sheep, and go and feed them. And they said, We cannot, until all the flocks be gathered together, until they roll the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. All the stages Israel's march to Canaan are distinctly noticed, but no particular journal is kept of Jacob's expedition further than Bethel. No, he had no more such happy nights as he had at Bethel, no more such visions of the Almighty that was intended for a feast. He must not expect it to be his daily bread. But 1. We are here told how cheerfully he proceeded in his journey after the sweet communion he had with God at Bethel. Then Jacob lifted up his feet, so the margin reads it, verse 1. Then he went on with cheerfulness and alacrity, not burdened with his cares, nor cramped with his fears, being assured of God's gracious presence with him. Note, after the visions we have had of God, and the vows we have made to him in solemn ordinances, we should run the way of his commandments with enlarged hearts. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1. 2. How happily he arrived at his journey's end. Providence brought him to the very field where his uncle's flocks were to be watered, and there he met with Rachel, who was to be his wife. Observe, 1. The divine providence is to be acknowledged in all the little circumstances which concur to make a journey or other undertaking comfortable and successful. If, when we are at a loss, we meet seasonably with those that can direct us, if we meet with a disaster, and those are at hand that will help us, we must not say that it was by chance, nor that fortune therein favored us, but that it was by providence, and that God therein favored us. Our ways are ways of pleasantness, if we continually acknowledge God in them. 2. Those that have flocks must look well to them, and be diligent to know their state. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 23. What is here said of the constant care of the shepherds concerning their sheep? Genesis chapter 29, verse 2. Genesis chapter 29, verse 3. Genesis chapter 29, verse 7. Genesis chapter 29, verse 8. May serve to illustrate the tender concern which our Lord Jesus, the great shepherd of the sheep, has for his flock, the church, for he is the good shepherd that knows his sheep and is known of them. John chapter 10, verse 14. The stone at the well's mouth, which is so often mentioned here, was either to secure their property in it, for water was scarce. It was not their usus communis aquarum, for everyone's use, or it was to save the well from receiving damage from the heat of the sun, or from any spiteful hand, or to prevent the lambs of the flock from being drowned in it. 3. Separate interests should not take us from joint and mutual help. When all the shepherds came together with their flocks, then, like loving neighbors at watering time, they watered their flocks together. 4. It becomes us to speak civilly and respectfully to strangers. Though Jacob was no courtier, but a plain man dwelling in tents and a stranger to compliment, yet he addresses himself very obligingly to the people he met with, and calls them his brethren. Verse 4. The law of kindness in the tongue has a commanding power. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 26. Some think he calls them brethren because they were of the same trade, shepherds like him. Though he was now upon his preferment, he was not ashamed of his occupation. 5. Those that show respect have usually respect shown to them. As Jacob was civil to these strangers, so he found them civil to him, when he undertook to teach them how to dispatch their business. Verse 7. They did not bid him meddle with his own concerns and let them alone. But though he was a stranger, they gave him the reason of their delay. Verse 8. Those that are neighborly and friendly shall have neighborly and friendly usage.